start to find. We walking them down like Michael Myers. I hop in the boot and I drop a bomb. They stealing my style like Dapper Dan. I don't fuck with niggas like Papa John, so don't ask for a slice of my piece of pie. The coupe is limited by design. Roof is missing with Shaka Khan. We caught him sleeping in the S-Class. We shot it up like it's Columbine. They offered a deal for 20K. You signed your name on the dotted line. He offered the deal for 20 what? Niggas better off working a 9 to 5, man. Hey, hustling schemes and revenue streams, I never go broke. Hey, the waters run deep, it's like the Dead Sea, we stay in the flow. Hey, she sucking me good, she fucking me good, I can't let her go. Hey, I gotta confess, I love her to death, but I can't let her know. Hey, I say what I feel, I give them the real, you niggas a hoax. Hey, my nigga a felon, he stay by a pole, he can't even vote. I hop on a beat, they go ludicrous, like I came in a pig in a throat. This shit like the end of the movie Witch, cause you about to get killed by the goat. Hey, 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 wait, hey, hold up, nigga.
Hey, I only move when it's dollar signs. Sorry for what, don't apologize. All of my guns is modified. You selling the soul for a little bit of nothing. I know the devil will try to buy it. I'm from the ghetto, it's homicides. I swear it's like niggas gotta slide. Niggas will sneak this you on the track, then upload it on Spotify. Nowadays, niggas out of line. Same niggas that you idolize. Niggas ain't even solidified. Can't walk in my shoes, you fit a 5. I'm balling on niggas, just sit aside. You don't wanna hustle, then get a job. I'm striking the drum, I'm energized. I'm warning you niggas, you been advised. You breaking the code and bending lies. I cheated debt so many times. Whoa. Remember the days, was trying to get paid, was trying to get dope. I'm stuck in my ways, no minimum wage, ain't trying to be broke. I'm fresh out the cage, performing on stage from shit that I wrote. When it come to the flow, I'm walking on water, I'm far from the pole.
All right. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay. I appreciate Let me go ahead. Let me bring the microphone closer. Okay, now I appreciate everybody. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this right here. Let me go ahead and get everything set up right. Y'all ready? So I'm definitely ready. So let's go ahead and get into this, right? So we're going to talk about something for the evening. What we're going to speak about this evening is something that is extremely important, and that is the disconnect. We need to speak about this. We need to speak about the disconnect between the youth and the elders. I have done extensive research, extensive. This is not going to be the typical live. This live right here is going to be a live based upon what it is that is actually taking place, along with actual scientific data and study. Okay. All right. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. So what we're going to do is we're going to start it off with this right here, right? So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to get my screen ready. We're not going to hold this up. I pray and hope that everybody has been having a fabulous, terrific day. We are now at this point 7 days away. Now, when we speak about being grown, I promise you all, this is about to be one of those lives. Oh, it's about to be one of them. Watch this, though. Right? So you see that? Okay. Now you see it. Now you don't. Great. All right. Now you see it. Now you don't. So let's talk about this here. The time right now is 7:50 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I thank you all. Oh, shoot. There we go. There we go. Loud in the background while playing 2K and Call of Duty. Forgive me. All right. So let's just rock out with the show. I'm going to pull something up. Now, we know about this whole Shannon Sharp thing, right? So everybody knows me. I like to take the different angles of approach. So that's what we're going to do. Tonight, we are going to take an entirely different angle of approach, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at how do these head spaces come into play, all right? When it comes to respect for the elders, when it comes to what is really grown, because let's be for real, the reason why I spoke about respect for the elders is because I'm trying to figure out myself what really is grown. Is 18 really grown? All right, I'm gonna ask that question again. Then I shall sip from the tap, from my chasel. Is 18 grown? I'm not talking about paperwork. I'm not talking about what you're allowed to now legally purchase. Is it grown? Okay. Let's listen to this and let's get it kicked off. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Let's listen real quick. All right. So I want us to pay attention to something. I want you to think about what Shannon Sharp is going through. And I want you to listen to what she says in this clip. Let's make the connection.
More on her because I'm getting more followers, even though I want to lose them all. But comment if you want to be mutuals. I follow you back if I don't get on follow block. But anyways, I'm really about to be 18 in 2 days. Like, I can legally date a 90-year-old man and the law wouldn't bat an eye. I don't know. I feel like adulting is.
All right. All right. Let's run that little snippet back. What did she say she was turning? And who did she say she can date? And who did she say would not bat an eye? Okay. I want us to focus on those three things. How old did she say she's getting ready to turn? Who does she say she can date? And who does she say would not even bat an eye?
Like, I can legally date a 90-year-old man and the law wouldn't bat an eye. I don't know them all. But comment if you want to be mutuals. I'll follow you back if I don't get on follow block. But anyways, I'm really about to be 18 in 2 days. Like, I can legally date a 90-year-old man and the law wouldn't bat an eye. I don't know. I feel like adulting is ghetto and I'm about to be an adult against my own will.
All right. So now I want us to pay attention to something. While she's saying this, I'm turning 18 in 2 days, and I can now legally date a 90-year-old man, and nobody, my bad, I got the wrong banner up. I'm tripping. My bad, y'all. All right. And I can legally date a 90-year-old man and nobody would bat an eye. I want you to look at the picture that she has behind her. All right. Shit. Even though, oh man, you got to laugh to keep from crying. Sometimes you got to laugh to keep from, you know what I'm saying, really getting emotional about it. Because as a father, I'm just looking and I'm saying to myself, what if this was my baby girl now? My baby girl about to, be an adult soon too. And I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, all right, so she's really sitting up here with her baby picture behind her, talking about how she's about to be 18 and she can date a 90-year-old man if she wanted to, and nobody would bat an eye. Now, you know what's crazy? She's just entering adulthood. I want us to focus on this. Okay, hello, us, the elders. Hello. All right. I want us to pay attention to something. Why do you think she is so comfortable saying what she's saying? Why is she so comfortable just stepping into adulthood? Don't know nothing about this world that we are living in and have been in for the longest. I want to know why is she so comfortable saying that? And then she got her baby picture in the background and she says something out her mouth like this. I just want you to think, if you are a father and one day your daughter makes a post like this, I'm just trying to figure it out. Am I the only one that still cares about the kids? Let's go.
If you want to be mutuals, I'll follow you back if I don't get on follow block. But anyways, I'm really about to be 18 in 2 days. Like, I can legally date a 90-year-old man and the law wouldn't bat an eye. I don't know. I feel like adulting is ghetto.
The law would not bat an eye. I'm always going to put it out into the ether. We are going to make sure that this is talked about. We are going to make sure that we address these things. We are not going to shy away from this. We are going to go ahead and get to the nook and cranny and crust of this. Like, listen, I need for you to understand something. Should be very, very alarming. It should be very, very alarming. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And this commercial break is brought to you by exactly why she is saying everything that she is saying.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right. Okay. So now we're going to get to the next part of it. All right. So that's one headspace of how the youth see it. All right. So now let's move on to the next short. We're going to keep on pushing. I want to figure out, where did the disconnect come in? Where do we get people thinking that it's okay to be sleeping with and or having relations with younger ages, where do you think the connection comes in? But also, I want to know more than anything, why doesn't the youth have respect for us? Let's listen more. Because, see, what I like to do is not speculate. I want to hear from them themselves. So I pulled up a variety of clips. Let's go to the next one. Now, this one right here is a lot more healthier. All right. I like this right here. This is a lot more healthy. Now, I want us to remember what the main question is. Okay. Are you really grown when you turn 18? Now, if you do turn 18 and you get out the house, I do believe that, I don't know, possibly this could be something that's beneficial. Let's go ahead and pull this clip up. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 7:58 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I thank you all so much for watching. Let's go ahead and get back to the video.
Soon as you turn 18 so that you can get ahead of everybody else. Number one, get a three things you should do as soon as you turn 18 so that you can get ahead of everybody else. Number one, get a credit card. This will help you build your credit score fast, which you can use to buy a car or a house in the future. Here are some recommendations. Number two, open up a Roth IRA. This will help you retire with $1 million of tax-free money from just investing $200 a month. Number three, invest in yourself. The more skills you learn while you're younger, the more money you will make. Three things you should do as soon as you turn 18.
All right. So, boom. All right. That right there. Just had to take a quick moment to make sure that we look at the more important aspects of this. Now we're going to get really to what we're talking about. Okay, so why don't they have respect? Okay, so let me see. What should I start off with? Should I start off with us as the elders that speak upon this, or should I start off with the youth? You know what? Today it's about the youth. Let's start off with the youth, and then we'll work our way up. How about that? All right, let's go ahead and do it. All right. So we're going to listen to a brief video. All right. As far as what one of the youth says. Okay. Like, why aren't we respected? Okay. So let's listen to what they have to say. All right. Or at least a voice that could be. Let's go.
Give you a little bit of insight on why I think younger people don't respect older people. It's because older people, like, let's just face it, older people don't want to be respected. They don't want to be respected, and when I say this in general. And when I say older people, I could be talking about people that are 5 years older, 10 years older, 20 years older, 30. It's just by the way that many of them.
For the record, young beloved, older is nothing shy of 10 years and up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be at least 1 decade to be considered older. So somebody 5 years older than you is somebody in your generation. They know everything that you know. All right. You might have come into the fold a little bit after. They came into the fold a little bit over, but y'all are right around the same age. So for the record, when we talking about older, what you're talking about, in which the disconnect happens, that has to be bare minimum 10 years and up. And even with 10 years, there still could possibly be a very huge connection as opposed to a disconnection. I would say personally, 15 and up is a guarantee. That's what you would call a OG, a elder, auntie, uncle, the whole nine. Big bro, big sis. Let's go.
Come off. They come off as if they don't demand respect. You know, because like, this is the thing. This is the code, like, respect your elders, comes from the fact that it's because your elders, they're older than you and they're wiser than you. They know things that you don't know. They could teach you. They are protecting you. But that was like back in the day. Type of.
Now, this is the thing that I find fascinating, right? So the whole, like, okay, back in the day. All right. What really is what we consider back in the day. Now, only thing that I can say is this. I noticed that nowadays, people feel very, very great at moments in time about what they're allowed to do now, but the overall result because we have dismissed so much of what has held together a lot. What you need, nephew? Um, yeah, thank you. What has held together so much of everything, right, is the fact that there are certain aspects, right? Not everything. See, it's about tweaking it. It's like developing a car or something, anything, right? And then all of a sudden, let me see what we got going on. I apologize. Hey, respect to the family. You already know. You already know. And of course, let me go ahead and do that too. You know, because I always be forgetting. I always be forgetting. So because I'm gonna be talking, I can see y'all better that way. All right. But real talk, like there was a certain amount of we just recognized that there was a structure and an order, but it's just certain things that need to be tweaked. Do you think at 42 there aren't things that I don't say to myself, you know what? Yeah, you know, I think that needs to be a little, reformed. There are quite a few things, but there are so many more things that I believe we should never disregard or throw away. Now, when she says that we don't demand respect, I would say that it's not that we don't demand respect. I would say, as one who is more so closer to that position than her as one of the young princesses, right? I would say we overstep our boundaries more and thinking that we know everything. And we don't give credit to the fact that the youth knows something too. You know, I sit here often, with my nephew and everything, and he helps me so much on this computer. Man, I'm sitting up here with these monitors and stuff like that. It's so much that I learn, right? So I don't disregard that. Also, just as much as I don't want to be called old nigga or whatever, or unk, you know what I'm saying? You know what I do? I don't call them little niggas. I don't do nothing like that. I don't call them, you know what I'm saying? Anything that's disrespectful. I make sure the way I address them, you know what I'm saying, is for the most part young blood. I make sure that I make it clear that even though I am older, now I still recognize it wasn't that long ago. I was right there where you are. Yeah, I'm 42. You might be 24. It wasn't that long ago, at least in this mind. All right. So I start to recognize how all of this works. Let's get back to the video while I get my damn alarm. I'm sorry.
Culture, that's back in the day culture. That logic doesn't apply to today. We are, more kept in our houses. People are like absolutely dangerous. There's a lot of people that are dangerous. They don't, the neighbors don't come out and say that, oh, your child's in danger, so your child's going this and do that. Like, at least where I live, people don't care what you do. People, the adults here, I remember the time where I was walking my dog, and so there was this guy here, and his dog was out attacking me. He was outside, so I tried to tell him. The guy came off to me like he was doing drugs. And then the very next day, the neighbors started breaking the fence by putting all their
What?
heavy crap on it. These are people. These people are like, and the man that was doing that, he was old. He was probably like 60 years old, 65 years old. The other person that was
All right. So I'm gonna be honest with you. The only thing I'm hearing, young princess, is you might have a slight disconnect to life. And that's, I'm not going to say it's okay, but what I will say is that I do recognize that that might be the case. It sounds like you're just not recognizing what most of us know to just be normal stuff that happens. Just normal things. I don't think you're recognizing that right now. You see? So let's just listen to about one more minute of her. And then we're going to get to the next clip, because I'm telling you, I have clips, but there are specific clips that I'm going to be speaking on. So we got 60 more seconds on the young princess right here. And then we're going to move forward to the next one. Let's go. All right, let's rock out. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 8:07 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I thank you all so much for watching. Let's get back to the video.
Was like doing his drugs was like 45 years old, and these people they're much older than me, but yet it's still they're doing things that are disrespectful. The guy that was like doing drugs, he actually pulled out a broom on me.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and move forward. So the next video we got is a lot more concise and it's yeah. Um so we're gonna stay focused. I'm gonna go ahead now. Now, this is what I will say. I love the fact that this is a difference between how the youth describes their problems and how we describe our problems. Okay, like, I'm trying to figure this out. Like, this is crazy. All right, y'all. All right, so listen. I think it's a much better description. Okay, so we're gonna start off here. And let's get back to it. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Make sure y'all go over there and subscribe to Miss I'm having a hard time. Miss Scottle Bertolf. I think it's how you say it, Miss Scottle Bertolf. Anyway, I'm gonna pull it up. Let's go. All right. So we're talking about why the youth don't respect the elders, but this is coming from our side and more so of what we should do to make sure that our kids don't resent us, I guess. And all of this is important information. I think we should go ahead and take a quick moment for this. Let's go ahead and rock out. Thank you all for tuning in.
So your child just turned 18 and you have convinced them that they are grown. Well, in my video message, I am going to debunk how just because a child turns 18 that they are not grown. Now, I found out, and I spoke on this years ago on my Facebook page. I found out that in the state of Illinois, and I believe in most states, when you turn 18, you are, for the most part, considered grown. But I also studied and investigated that you're actually still a teenager at the age of 18 and 19. If you don't believe me, you guys can Google it yourself.
Okay, sis. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. It says 18, 19. I don't, if anybody has to Google the proof on if you're still a teenager, when finally the last time teen is ever said is at 19 before you cross the threshold of 20. If you need to Google that to make sure it's right, I think we have a much bigger problem than what we're talking about today. Let's go. Salute to you, sis. And that's not to you, sis. That's not to you. I'm just saying to anybody who thinks they need to Google, are you still a teen at 18, but whole time you're calling them 18? Are you still a teen at 19, but you're calling them 19? Interesting. Let's rock out.
Anything, any number with teen in it, you are still a teenager.
That.
So how as a society have we gotten to a place where we have 16, 17, 18, and even 19-year-olds believing that they are grown? And the base.
Well, let me say this, sis. I got to. All right. You know why? Because most of us didn't have a choice but to be that anyway. Because once upon a time, and even still to this day, we had so many of our parents, not me, I'm speaking on stories I know of. I'm just going to be the voice. I'm the voice of those who want to say it, right? Okay. There are a lot of times where when you're 18, you're supposed to be out of the house. That's right. You're supposed to already know what to do by the age of 15 or 17 years old. If you say that, nah, my child can stay with me until she's like 26, like for some reason you're babying them. Now, what we find fascinating is this: there are other cultures that they do have their kids a lot more prep faster. Now, what I want us to focus on is this piece right here: living circumstance. Now, watch this, right? Um, some animals have to make sure that they stock up for the winter. Why? Because that's just their living circumstance. Follow, follow. Some animals don't need to do that at all because their living circumstance in the environment is year round, plentiful, right? And is lush. So it's not necessary. So we need to recognize that. So when we talking about like, all right, but you're grown at 18. Do you know what I remember? All right. You know what I remember? I remember once upon a time, right? I remember once upon a time you had your driver's license at 16. You had your driver's permit at 15 and 9 months. They boosted it up to 18. I wonder why that is. Watch this, people. Did you know that once upon a time you could drink alcohol once you turned 15 on this very turf, this very ground? Yeah, once upon a time, 15 was the legal age. Mama didn't have to give you a note. 15 was the legal age, and you can buy alcohol. So I want us to pay attention to something when we're speaking about who's grown and when and what time period, the whole nine. We're going to take our time slowly and dissect this. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 8:15 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I thank you all so much for watching. Let's get back to the video.
Faces of everyone out here, for the most part, telling these kids that they are grown. You know what I noticed that is very irritating for me? They sexualize the age. Anytime you hear about a child turning 18 years old, all you hear about is negativity for the most part attached to that age. And you guys know it's true. Anytime someone turns 18, oh, you grown now. And in the black culture, you know what parents do? A lot of black parents kick that child out at the age of 18. When you guys know at 18, you don't even know whether you're going or coming. You know that landlords out here are leery. And if they're not leery, they just completely are not in agreement with leasing an apartment or sometimes even a house to a child, male or female, that's 18 years old.
Damn, my bad, y'all. Let's think about that. Let's really take time and think about that right there. All right. So again, so watch this, right? If we know, even with the sisters, right? So from our young warrior brothers and our young princesses, our young beloveds, we know that with the sisters, I mean, bare minimum, I don't know, what is it for a woman, like around 20 or something? All right, bet. Cool. All right. And then for us, I know at least as a man, because I am a man, right? I study myself a little bit more. It's 25. 25, fully grown, your shoe size, your height, brain development, the whole nine. 25 years old. All right. How many of us have been put out? Let me see. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 7 years. Ain't that something? The number's 18. I said 25. So that's what? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Mr. 7-7. 7 years. We get put out. Ain't it funny how the life works? I swear it's crazy. But so 7 years prior, right? Now I want us to pay attention to something. There are aspects that are very beneficial. Now, let's go through the research before we get back to the video. Now we're going to go ahead and pull up actual research, okay? So we went on ahead and I tried. I'm working on it, on my journalism-ish. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's go ahead and look at this right here. All right, boom. All right. So let's take this time and read this right here in which that I have pulled up. So I went on ahead and looked it up. All right. Whether leaving home at 18 is better for kids depends on individual circumstances and priorities. One more again for the win, which is highlighted in blue. Whether leaving home at 18 is better for kids depends on individual circumstances and priorities. All right now. So while leaving home at 18 can foster independence, right? And what? Self-resilience. Yes, that's right. Self-resilience, as well as it also presents significant challenges, especially financially. Now, I want us to pay attention to that part. It imposes, okay, the financial challenges. That's something we don't take time. Now, watch this. Why is that so important? Especially financially, because most of us don't come up being financially literate. So now you just throwing us out there, right? You want to throw me out there at 18, but yet you never taught me about money. You never taught me anything about investing. Matter of fact, you yourself, I'm just speaking like from that child who would say it to their parents if they could. You never taught me about investing. You never taught me about financial literacy. Unfortunately, and you know what? Now that I'm older, I'm not even mad at you, mom or dad. I actually get it. We didn't have the resources. You didn't grow up knowing it. So how could you teach me what you didn't know? So you know what? Now that I am of discernment, logic, and wisdom, I'm not mad at you about that. But I recognize how much that has like set me back. But you know what? Every setback is the wonderful setup for a come up. You see? Listen, we're gonna get deep into this, man. Like we ain't nowhere near done. Like, listen, this is about to be probably one of them 3.5, 4 hours. I'm just letting y'all know. I'm about to do this solo dolo for the most part. Like, I'm about to real deal break this down because I recognize where it is that we should be and where we are not. Let's go. Let's get back to the video. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Let's rock out.
Why have we made these young kids that age really truly believe that they're grown when in reality you are really not grown until you're 21? At 18, you still cannot buy alcohol, you still cannot buy tobacco in a lot of places. You are not equipped to live on your own and pay rent, pay gas, pay lights, pay a water bill. You don't understand taxes that you have to pay on a house. You don't understand.
But you know what's wild? There's a certain amount of animalistic nature that I realized that even though we've been so disconnected from our roots, you know what? I believe that whole like us as like Black Americans putting our kids out at 18, like that whole thing comes from. I think it comes from a natural instinctive root of us of you need to go make it. Animals do the same thing. Again, I'm not, now people would think I'm trying to compare us to animals. No, what I always say is I recognize the connection between nature and how we connect with nature. The fact is, you eat nature. The same animals you don't want to be associated with are the same animals that you put in your body. You are what you eat. Third eye open. So let's go ahead and cut all that part, right? Listen. Listen. No, watch this. Listen. Not this. This. Listen. All right. You are what you eat. The vegetation and the animals. So we're connected to nature automatically because you put it in your body, thus you walk on the turf of it. So there is no disconnection. Thus you shall return to it when your bones turn back to dust and the soul reaches the collarbone. Why am I saying this? Because there are so many things we need to learn while we're here, like this right here. Generally, individuals are not considered fully mature at 18. Isn't that something? All right. Although it's the legal age, I want us to pay attention to that part, right? Although it's the legal age of adulthood in many places, right? While the brain continues to develop, this is just like, all right, although it's legal, because you remember what we were talking about, although it's legal, age of adulthood in many places, while the brain continues to develop. And that's the part I want to stop on. So while we talking about this whole Shannon Sharp thing, right? You know the whole Shannon Sharp part? That man is almost 65. Boom. I mean, no. He's I mean, how old is he? He's yeah. He's in his 60s, I believe. Let me see something here. What we got? What? Because an 18-year-old never had to choose between Rent and Jordans before. You know what? Interesting comment. It's very interesting. So what we got right here is all right. So making decisions and emotional regulations, right? Into the early to mid 20s. Some brain scientists say that the transition from childhood to adulthood is a much more nuanced process that takes place over 3 decades. One more again for the win, right? While the brain continues to develop partially in areas related to decision making and emotional regulation into the early to mid 20s, some brain scientists say that the transition from childhood to adulthood is much more nuanced process that takes place over 3 decades. Why is this so important? I'll tell you right now. It's very, very important for the simple fact that we need to recognize, right? Okay. Let me go ahead and pull this down. Everything that's being said on this video is something that is absolutely correlated to what it is that we're listening to and seeing today. It all has to do with the upbringing. It all has to do with how the environment of that child works. You know, it's something even biblically written that says the sins of the father. Now, if we were to really take time and try to dissect that just a little bit, just maybe we would come across a thought process if you tap into what it is that you know, what you don't know is the only thing that you can give. Now watch this. If the only thing that you know, and if the only thing that you can give as a parent is chaos and destruction, no structure, that can be the curse of the father that is passed down. I want us to think about that for a second. Now, this is what I want us to do. I want us to go ahead and just take this quick moment. We are going to take a quick commercial break from our local daily sponsors, and this is brought to you by, you know how valuable you are.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Swinging human being is a person who lives on two levels at once. He's able to live on the level of being his ordinary ego, his everyday personality, and play his role in life and observe all the rules and so on that go with that. But if he's only on that level, if he's only playing that kind of thing, and thinks that's all there is, it becomes a drag. But he's just got to go on surviving. If, however, you see, you know that all the serious predicaments of life are a game, and I deliberately got involved in this thing, and that even if I got myself into an awful mess, and I got born with syphilis and the Great Siberian Itch and tuberculosis and in a Nazi concentration camp, nevertheless, this was a game which was a very far-out play. It was a kind of cosmic masochism. If you can carry on these two things at once, you get a very remarkable harmoniousness. Really
Understand what a deed is, what a title is. You don't even really understand at the age of 18 the logistics that goes into being a home owner. Some of them don't even understand what it is to have renters insurance if they're going to live on their own. Now, I'm not saying every child that is 18 is not educated on this. Thank God for some of you parents. You are knowledgeable, you are educated, you are very successful, and you have taught your children from a young age.
Now, you know something I recognize, right? You know what I recognize? Okay, my mic is on. I'm just making sure because I get to talking on mute. I recognize that she is not the same age as our brother Shannon Sharp. So what I'm saying is, all of this information that she knows as far as like how this goes when you reach a certain point in your wisdom, your development in life. I just want to know, how do you get to the point, bro, where you're so around, I believe, so many successful, educated minds, and you put yourself in such a position? It is absolutely baffling. So we're just going to get back and we're going to break down the science of it. We don't need to keep talking about it. We know what it is that's going on with him. Now let's break down and diagnose what's going on truly from both sides of this fence. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 8:32 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I thank you all so much for watching. Much respect to the family. Let's get back to it.
About these things that I just named. But let me get back to the point that I'm making because I want you guys to pay attention to this and how it can become dangerous if we are not careful, and how we need to unlearn something with the age of 18. At 18, I don't believe a person is grown because you know what? Like I said, society has sexualized it. All you really can do, and you can look this up at the age of 18, that is just simply the age of consent. That just means that at 18, a male or female can have sex with any age and that person not go to jail as long as it was consensual. Let me say it again. If your child turned 18 years old and they decide to have sex with someone that's 21, 25, 28, 30, 45, 50, 60, 75 years old, that person that they slept with, as long as it was consensual, meaning they were in agreement with it and wanted to do it too, that person will not go to jail.
Welcome to Serious Reefs. Today we launched something.
All right.
Cannot even handle day to day obstacles and issues in business. So why do we have these kids at that young, ripe age believing that they're grown? And why is it that every time a child
Because, sis, there are people in society that will continue to tell them that they're grown. The fact is that most of us put our kids out at the age of 18. We tell them you need to get out by midnight. It's a real thing that's gone down in the Black community. So we're not going to play these games and act like, I'm not saying you, sis, not you. I'm talking to those who are listening. Yes, people, we're not going to play these games and act like we don't know what it is. We know what it is, right? So let's go ahead and get back to the video. The fact is that most of our children has been pressed into, like, we have been, like, matter of fact, how many of us have grown up with one of our, like, maybe like a homeboy or a homegirl, and then you realize, like, our schools had to do something like what back in the day? We had daycare set up to it. That means we have parents who are still in high school. Wait, yeah, that was a real thing. Now watch this also too. You know what else we had? We had something called work study. I mean work release. Now they still have it, but work release really didn't start primarily because they just wanted to go ahead and try to help us get into the real world, the real field. No. Work study started simply because there were so many of us who had to drop out of high school and get a job to help out mom or help out grandma or help dad out, whoever we lived with. Work release started for like that older sibling out of the 3 or 4 that had to look out and be the second parent. So it's a reason why all of these things were incorporated. So the only reason why I'm saying this is because I want us to make sure that we keep in mind exactly why did all of this take place. That's the only thing that I'm at right now. Where did all of it begin? How did it start? Now let's get back into it. Let's rock out. I digress. My mic is muted. Let's go ahead and do it.
turns 18, we always talk about, well, they could really do what they want. They can have sex, they can drink, they can smoke. How do you guys figure that they can smoke and drink? Now, don't get me wrong, because I know some of you smart Alex. You'll come up here and say, well, we can't control that. A lot of them, they drink at that age. They smoke. We can't be in 10 places at one time. Yeah, I get it. But the thing is, I'm sorry. I'm not about to let my child run free when they turn 18. I'm not about to tell my child you're grown. What I'll tell my child is you are 18 and you have certain rights, but you still are going to have a curfew. You still cannot do what you want. And if I find out that you out here drinking or you're buying liquor, that's going to be a problem for me. And if you have a problem with my rules and what I run in my house, then you can leave.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is. You're right. It's fact.
That's what my video message is. We got to stop these kids from thinking that when they turn 18, that they could do whatever they want to do when they're in reality still a teenager. You are not literally grown until you turn 21.
You know what's so wild? You know how controversial this is right now? We're in such a day and age in which now, mind you, again, I know, it is so not. It seems like I'm like, I guess you can say like aiding in the kids being like, you know what I'm saying, non-progressive. And then I just sit back and I say to myself,
God have mercy upon us.
yeah, I just kind of hit one down. But not real talk though. You want to know something that's so wild? You know, when I go back and I think about things, like I really do. I get it. There's so much that I finally did recognize when I turned a certain age. You know what? And it's not even about the certain age. I think it was the certain amount of time of curation, right? I had to be like I had to curate. I had to harness. I had to cultivate. I had to nourish my transition from 19 into full-fledged, like you're now just manhood. It was something that I had to myself, although I have my father in my life. Now that's the part. Now see, watch this. Although I still have my father in my life at this particular time in my life, I still had to go ahead and I had to make sure that I said, you know what? It has to be a certain amount of me that I curate. Has to be a certain amount of me that even though my mother and father, from my mother's upbringing and her particular part as the feminine aspect, my father as the masculine aspect, now I take the combination of those two things and then I bring that to the forefront in the formation in which is now metamorphed into what we now know to be Smitty, the combination of the best of both worlds. You see? And so, because I was able to be fortunate enough to be able to be blessed with that, I recognize how important it is circumstantial. And it does come down to basically the upbringing. Now, let's go ahead and get back into it. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 8:40 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I thank you all so much for watching. Respect to the family. Let's get back to the video. Let's see what we got.
If you are not 21 and you only 18, baby girl or baby boy, you cannot go to the club. You cannot go in the liquor store and buy alcohol. You cannot buy tobacco in a lot of stores and in a lot of gas stations. So why do we have these kids thinking that? These kids are so young and they get out here because they listen to certain parents that are raising them, or they listen to their friends or peers and what society is saying, and they go out here and make a mess of their life. They make a mess of their life. They get involved in all type of stuff, and they get ate up out here. They get ate up out here in the streets and in life, and they have to turn around and come back to you. And it's like you're setting them up for failure. Many of us 80s babies, God bless the parents that raised us because they did the best that they could with the resources they had and with the knowledge that they had. But a lot of parents, for those who raised us 80s babies, not saying that they were bad, horrible parents, but the minute we turned 18, they left all power and authority to us, and it became dangerous. Thank God for his hand and his grace and mercy abundantly being over many of our lives, because the tragedies that I saw with people in my generation once they turned 18. So many girls, once they turned 18, they became pregnant. They were in college, and out of humiliation and embarrassment, when they turned 18, they had to turn right back around and come home. Because what was everybody telling them? Oh, you grown, you on your own. I don't have to help you. I'm not required to help you. You got to get out of my house. A lot of parents, they didn't even care if their child was paying them $50 or $75 or $100 a week or every 2 weeks when they got their paycheck. They still was focused on the fact that they were 18. What the hell are you all out here doing? What the hell are you out here teaching these babies at 18? What do they know at 18? What do they know at 19? A lot of them are 21 and 22 and they still don't know anything.
What if recording high quality
Just shoot. Right. Hey, I know you rap niggas out of line. I hop out with shadows and start to find. We walking them down like Michael Myers. I hop in the boot and I drop a bomb. They stealing my style like that, but dang. I don't fuck with niggas like Papa John, so don't ask for a slice of my piece of pie. The coupe is limited by design. Roof is missing with Shaka Khan. We caught him sleeping.
Guys, you got to stop saying that these children are grown at 18. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. Anything with teen in it, you are still a teenager, but it's not talked about. This is why I know that the age of 18 for consensual sex, that was created. And I really believe it was created for someone so it could benefit them. If you guys break down the origin of rules, laws, and statutes and like mandates, that stuff is built and created for the benefit of the person or the people who created. And I really believe it was probably somebody that may have been, I'm not saying don't put stock in this, but may have been a pedophile, or they may have been drawn or attracted to younger kids. And to benefit them so it wouldn't be illegal, they said, oh, at 18, they grown. But in reality, at 18, that is only the age where you can have consensual sex, at least in the state of Illinois.
Oh, hell no! 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 Oh, hell no!
Briefly, I talked about this in another video. Whatever your city and state is, I know in some states, the age of consent is 16. But that's all it is. At 18, that's all it is. You can freely have sex. Nobody can shame you. That person cannot go to jail.
What the fuck are you out of your damn mind?
18. Gen Z, listen to me when I tell you. At 18, don't get caught out here in these streets and in the world and all of this mess, drama, and confusion because you've been lied to and told that you are grown. Tag somebody who are raising these children that are Gen Z. Because if you are 80s baby, and I believe if you were born in the early 90s, you are a millennial. But those of us who are millennials that gave birth to children late in the 90s or like in the early 2000s and up, those children are in the generation Gen Z. And Gen Z is something else, baby, when I tell you. Tag this video. Let them know at 18, you are really not grown. You just have the consent to have sex.
guys. In today's video, I'm going over 9 reasons why your teenager doesn't respect you. While we all don't require our kids to like us, I think we can all agree that we want our children to respect us. Certainly we can't go back in time and change some of those non-optimal parenting techniques that we may have implemented over the years, but we can assess our current situation and make some modifications to try and get the relationship back on track. So in understanding why your teen may not respect you, it may help us create that respect that you desire and deserve. Number 1, lack of active listening. This means that you're really hearing what your teenager is saying, and your teen knows that you are listening. When parents don't actively listen to their teenagers, it can lead to feelings of being unheard or feeling unimportant.
That is something that I myself I really had to harness that. You want to know why? Because it's not necessarily my parents themselves, like just the overall upbringing, the community outside of my household, like, you know, aunts, uncles, friends, parents, the whole nine. It is more so of I'm older than you, I know more than you, and that's all it is to it. Now, the thing about it is that over time, we are now starting to recognize that there is a slight nuance. Now, does that mean you go ahead and just like run over me as the parent? No. But does that mean that we do need to go ahead and reevaluate how we have been parenting? I do think it should be looked at, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So let's go ahead and get back to it. I digress. My mic is muted. Let's listen back to the video.
And this can hinder the development of a healthy parent-child relationship. So an example might be your teenager expresses their concerns about school stress, but you just brush it off and immediately start talking about something else. Your teenager will likely feel invalidated. They're going to be hesitant to open up to you about how they are feeling in the future. Number 2.
Right. I had to learn that. I had to learn to. I actually, like, you know, as my daughter getting older, so I was so used to her in her earlier stages, like, yes, dad, yes, dad, yes, dad. And now, you know what's so crazy? It's like that. It was like it was overnight. That whole, like, I'm busy, I have better things to do. I never knew that day was coming. I never knew that day was coming. So it just kind of hit me out of surprise. And I was like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. So that's how you feel at this point? Okay, slow down, princess. Slow down. Okay. So I had to go ahead and I had to woosah on that real quick. Because I'm like, how dare you? How dare you? But I didn't realize I was so focused on at that time period, at that particular time, I need to make sure that I instill in her what was instilled in me. But you know what I missed? Just for a moment. You know what I missed? What was instilled in me was grow how you grow, not how we tell you how to grow. We will tell you how to operate around this house. Oh, yeah, there are rules in this house, but we want you to learn who you are. We want you to figure out, we want you to figure out who you are as you develop naturally. Let's go.
2, using lectures instead of conversations. Delivering lectures instead of engaging in two-way conversations can create a power dynamic that prevents open communication and understanding. Nobody likes being lectured to. So an example, you're talking to your teenager about the dangers of partying without inviting your teen's thoughts and feelings on the matter. They're going to be resistant to listening when they aren't allowed any input. Number 3, comparing to others. Comparing teenagers to their friends, or even worse, siblings, can lead to feelings of inadequacy, resentment, and reduced self-esteem. An example would be, why can't you be more like your cousin? They always excel in their studies. This can make a teen feel like their efforts are just not appreciated. Number 4, constant criticism. If parents constantly criticize their teenagers' choices, their appearance, or their actions, it can create an environment of negativity and erode their self-confidence. So maybe you say something like, your room is always messy, or why are you always hanging out with that kid? These types of criticisms can make a teenager feel attacked.
Okay. All right. So we gotta touch on that one. I definitely do believe in a certain amount of grounding that needs to be had. So let me tell y'all some stories, right? And let me tell you how significant that was. All right. So, one thing that I recognize is a problem with the initial, I guess you can say, how we go about parenting, right? All right. So let's just go ahead and set the scene, right? Let me go ahead and get my ensemble. I want to holler at y'all real quick. So look. Okay. So this is where we are, right? It can make the kid feel some kind of way. You know what? I felt some kind of way many times when my mother and my father spoke to me certain kind of ways. I shit you not. At that particular moment, yes, I did feel some kind of way. But you know what I didn't have growing up? Society telling me that everything my parents is doing and how they're raising me is wrong. I want you to follow what's taking place right now. So I was raised in more so of a dynamic of, right? This is the dynamic I was raised on. I was raised on more so, right? Me recognizing, boom, right? Me and my mother, boom. Me and my father, all right? Then, not to mention, boom. I got an entire family, an entire army. I come up from something that is what I know to be something that we all had, and that was a certain form of respect, and we had a certain amount of order. And what I do believe that we have to be careful of while we're listening to this is don't let it get, don't let them get you fooled into thinking that means just go out and do anything. And that means there are to be no rules. There are very, very slick and very cunning ways in which the enemy will try to divulge information. Now, I need us to stay focused, okay? So when it comes to that, and the point that I'm making is this, it's a certain amount of criticism you're going to need. You want to know why? Because the world is always going to be so much more tougher. I don't care what you can say you went through in your own household. Go out into the world. Oh, matter of fact, watch this. Tell the world that you've been through what you've been through in your household, and then see how they treat you. See if they give you more sympathy, or see if they treat you even worse, because now you have made it clear I'm a potential victim. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
that elevation. This that process. This that in the making. This that started from the bottom. This that motivation.
Rather than supported. Number 5, being overly controlling. Excessively controlling parents might not give their teenagers room to make decisions and learn from their mistakes. And this can lead to hinder their personal growth. So maybe you speak to their sports coaches instead of them, or you dictate the things that they should be doing socially or activities that they should participate in. Your teenager can feel suffocated when their parents are too controlling. So back off.
It's a balance. It's a balance. It's a balance. Now again, let's take this into consideration, right? It's a balance to this. We have to make sure that we know, no, there is a certain amount of, you must make sure that you keep a firm, grounded footing in your parenting, but you need to recognize the different stages and elevations in your child's development. You cannot go about parenting the same way from the ages of, let's say, 1 through 10 as you would, let's say, 11 through 20 or 19, right? You're not going to do it the same way. You're not going to operate the same way. There are going to be certain things that we're going to be able to do, and it was real easy and simple, and boom, all I had to do was that, and I know that I got you by the heart, right? And as they develop, you're going to have to work a little harder. We're going to have to put a little bit more work in to make sure that we keep their attention. I promise you. And I'm telling you this as a dad, Now, moms, I can't speak for y'all because for some reason, I don't know what it is, but even myself, you know what I'm saying? It's just that special place that will always be there. And speaking of special places that will always be there, speaking of special places that will always be there, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that one. So speaking of moms and everything else, let's go ahead and take this quick commercial break and get back to it. So with that being said, this is brought to you by, it's her. This is my mom, and I love her. And that's my mother right there. She popped up out of nowhere. She knew we were out here, and she just came out of nowhere. But look at that, though. 68 years old. 68. This is what health is about. When I say I come from the family of health, this is what I mean. And yes, that's all of her hair. That's all of her hair. In a bun. 68. Thick as ever. And all she does is pray and walk and exercise. That's all she does. That's all she does. That's my mama. That's my mama. She popped up out of nowhere. Look at you, girl. All right. Shout out to my mother, man. Shout out to my mother. That's what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and get back. Now, we're going to go ahead and switch it up. Yeah, we're going to switch it up. So now we're getting into this video right here, right? Now, the main thing that I want to try to make sure I focus on for our last segment of the evening is this right here. And this particular video, this is the point where I'm just going to fall back and I'm just going to let the video play. All right. So I'm going to pull this up. Let's go ahead and get this all set. Let me make sure that we're clear. Yep, I knew it. All right. So we are going to make sure we take a quick commercial break. And this is the last commercial break. And we're just going to play this video. And I'm going to play this video. And be honest with you. whatever. It's interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. This video is interesting. So we're going to dive deep into the whole. Where did being considered an adult in America begin? So let's go back to the history of why people like Shannon Sharpe and many others are in the predicament that they're in. Let's dive into the history of this.
The age of majority is defined at the age at which a person is granted by law the rights and responsibilities of an adult. In the United States, 18 is the most common age of majority. Some states, however, grant majority after a person passes high school, and still others have it set even higher. Alabama and Nebraska, for instance, have the current age of majority at 19, while Mississippi is at 21. Nonetheless, the age of majority does not affect voting age, which by law is set at 18 due to the 26th Amendment to the Constitution, giving 18-year-olds the right to vote in federal, state, and local elections. Let's just cover a few bases before we dive right into how 18 became the legal age of adulthood. There are a couple of terms that sound similar to the age of majority or the legal age of adulthood that you should know. The first one is the age of consent, which, like the age of majority, varies by state. As you already know, the age of majority means that you are now legally considered an adult. You are granted the rights and responsibilities of adulthood, like opening a bank account, purchasing a car, renting an apartment, buying a lotto ticket, and lots of other fun and legally contracting things. With that right comes great responsibility. You now also get to be held legally accountable for your actions. That's a lot of pressure for someone who's just out of high school, but it's a real eye-opener. Welcome to the real world, kid. The age of consent refers to the legally defined age in which a person is no longer required to obtain consent from a parent or guardian to get married. It also refers to the age at which a person is considered to have the capacity to voluntarily agree to sex. With consent, of course. Though sexual intercourse with a person under the age of consent will likely lead to criminal charges of statutory rape or sexual assault. So make sure you always know how old the person you're about to get down with actually is. Another term confused with the age of majority is the age of license. Like we mentioned before, the age of majority is the age at which a person is legally recognized as an adult. The age of license, however, is the age at which a government grants a person license or permission to engage in certain activities, like buying and consuming alcohol and tobacco, or if it's legally sold in your state, cannabis products. It also includes driving a motor vehicle and entering into certain kinds of contracts, like renting a car. In some cases, the age of license is even different than the age of majority. For example, you can get your driver's license at 16, even though the age of majority is 18. Or you can be the age of majority but not allowed to legally buy or consume alcohol until reaching the age of license, which is, of course, 21. But what if you decide that you want to be on your own before you reach the age of 18? This would require a legal process called emancipation. This happens when a minor is legally emancipated by the court to automatically obtain the age of majority before their 18th birthday. They are no longer controlled by their parents or guardian, and likewise, the parents or guardian are freed of the responsibility toward the emancipated child. Most jurisdictions consider minors who marry to be automatically emancipated and have obtained the age of majority status. Alright, so now that we've covered those bases, let's get back to where all this started. During World War II, President Franklin D. Roosevelt lowered the minimum age for the military to draft to 18, even though the voting age had historically been 21. This outraged many, and a rally cry was born: "Old enough to fight, old enough to vote," became the slogan of the youth voting rights movement. In 1942, the slogan prompted Democratic Congressman Jennings Randolph from West Virginia to introduce federal legislation to lower the voting age to 18. It was Randolph's faith in America's youth that really drove this effort. He said, "They possess a great social conscience, are perplexed by the injustices in this world, and are anxious to rectify those ills." And in 1943, Georgia became the first state to lower its voting age to 18. Presidents Dwight D. Eisenhower and Lyndon B. Johnson both greatly supported Randolph's cause. Eisenhower was the first president to publicly voice his support for a constitutional amendment that would lower the voting age. In his 1954 State of the Union address, he said, "For years our citizens between the ages of 18 and 21 have, in times of peril, been summoned to fight for America. They should participate in the more political process that produces this fateful summons." In the late 1960s, with the U.S. involved in the long and costly Vietnam War, youth voting rights activists held marches and demonstrations, demanding the attention of lawmakers to the injustice and hypocrisy of drafting young men who were denied the right to vote. In 1969, 60 resolutions were introduced into Congress that would lower the voting age to 18, but none of those resolutions ever came to anything. In 1970, Congress passed a bill that extended and amended the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which outlawed discriminatory voting practices. The new bill contained a provision that lowered the voting age to 18 in federal, state, and local elections. President Richard M. Nixon signed the bill into law, though he issued a public statement declaring the provision to be unconstitutional. He said, "Although I strongly favor the 18-year-old vote, I believe, along with most of the nation's leading constitutional scholars, that Congress has no power to enact it by simple stature, but rather it requires a constitutional amendment." In the 1970 case of Oregon versus Mitchell, the U.S. Supreme Court was tasked with reviewing the constitutionality of the provision. A divided Supreme Court ruled that Congress had the authority to lower the voting age in federal elections, but lacked the power to do so for state and local elections. Under this verdict, 18 to 20-year-olds were now eligible to vote for president and vice president, but not eligible to vote for state officials in the same election. Naturally, this outraged many, resulting in large public demonstrations, led by the youth who were being drafted but not allowed the right to vote. This was the groundwork that paved the way for a constitutional amendment. Congress proposed the 26th Amendment, which provides the right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of age. On March 10, 1971, the U.S. Senate voted unanimously in favor of the proposed amendment. After an overwhelmingly in favor House vote on March 23, the 26th Amendment went to the states for ratification. In less than 4 months, the necessary 3/4 of state legislature ratified the 26th Amendment, making it the shortest ratification period of any constitutional amendment. President Nixon signed it into law that July. At a White House ceremony attended by 500 newly eligible voters, Nixon said, "The reason I believe that your generation, the 11 million new voters, will do so much for America is that you will infuse into this nation some idealism, some courage, some stamina, and some high moral purpose that this country always needs." The Senate report accompanying the 26th Amendment states that it was proposed for 3 main reasons. First, younger citizens are fully mature enough to vote. Most people between the ages of 18 and 21 had finished high school and had received some sort of higher education. Secondly, 18-year-olds bear all or most of an adult's responsibilities. This consideration was especially important since more than 11,000 Americans killed in Vietnam were under the age of 20. Third, young voters should be given the opportunity to influence our society in a peaceful and constructive manner. Excluding 18-year-olds from the political process resulted in violent protests against the government. It might be a bit of a mystery why exactly we decided 18 was the standard for adulthood, but it's no mystery why Wix is the standard for great websites. With a robust selection of fully customizable templates and tools that let you build from scratch, Wix has everything you need to get started designing a great website today. And if design isn't your thing, Wix's ADI feature can build one for you by just answering a few simple questions. You can finally create that amazing website that you've been putting off because maybe you just didn't know how, by going to wix.com/go/infographics or by clicking the link in the description.
This episode is brought to you by Skillshare. The first 1,000 people to sign up using the link in the description will get their first 2 months free. No one can predict for certain what will be the hardest years of your life because no one knows what calamities might befall you. Nonetheless, there are plenty of studies that tell us most people face certain obstacles in life that all tend to happen at certain times. We're sure you've heard of the midlife crisis, or perhaps teenage angst, or those trying times in early adulthood when people need to grow up, get a job, and take responsibility for themselves. Then there are the vagaries of old age, the specter of debilitating arthritis, incurable diseases, knowing the Grim Reaper is checking Google Maps to find out how to get to your house. Today, we'll look at when most people face the most difficulties in this episode of the infographic show, what will be the hardest years of your life. We'll start with the easiest years. There can be no doubt that the easiest years of your life are those just after you are born. We can't call these your hard years as there isn't really a sense of you.
We're here in Hollywood at the LA Film School campus.
of self or an ego. We won't argue with psychologists, however, that suffering trauma as a young child might have an effect on the development of that child. Some kids are beaten badly by their parents, even as infants, and studies show that beaten children are more likely to develop mental health problems. This might be anxiety, depression, inability to empathize with others, or they might be more likely to abuse drugs. If you've seen our serial killer shows, you'll know many of those crazed killers grew up with violent parents. However, as we said, as you haven't quite developed a sense of you, these years are still easy sailing. When the ego gets going, so do your problems. That's when the trauma kicks in. That said, when you truly know yourself, accept who you are, and even accept your mortality, life can become quite easy. That's why a lot of people say life gets easier once you get out of the middle-age years. As one person writes on his blog, I am closing in on 71, though I am told I do not look it. I certainly don't feel it. I am one that believes in the importance in continuous learning and trying lots of new things. You are never too late to start. I started writing this blog at 64. Getting old gracefully really depends on what you've set up for yourself and also includes a lot of luck. If you're broke, without friends, have no hobbies or even ambitions, then old age can be a drag. You might find yourself a grumpy old person in a home next to a Grandpa Simpson-like neighbor. Listen to the wise words of American novelist Henry Miller, who started writing late and wrote essays on living a meaningful life when he was in old age. Miller once said, "The moment one gives close attention to anything, even a blade of grass, it becomes a mysterious, awesome, indescribably magnificent world in itself." The aim of life is to live, and to live means to be aware, joyously, drunkenly, serenely, divinely aware. If you kept fit throughout life, especially the middle years, stayed curious, kept learning, and saved a bit of cash, old age can be far easier than those years when you never stopped needing things and every day was a fight for survival.
Swinging human being is a person who lives on two levels at once. He's able to live on the level of being his ordinary ego, his everyday personality, and play his role in life and to observe all the rules and so on that go with that. But if he's only on that level, if he's only playing that kind of thing, and thinks that's all there is, it becomes a drag. But he's just got to go on surviving. If, however, you see, you know that all the serious predicaments of life are a game, and I deliberately got involved in this thing, and that even if I got myself into an awful mess, and I got born with syphilis and the Great Siberian Itch and tuberculosis and in a Nazi concentration camp, nevertheless this was a game which was a very far-out play. It was a kind of cosmic masochism. If you can carry on these two things at once, you get a very remarkable harmoniousness.